And we're back.
It's
This is
happening.
Hook and Ladder. Week 3 of this glorious college football season, and it has not disappointed.
Big week. Real good week.
Yes.
There was a game in all 3 of the major time slots that went down to the wire.
That's right.
Excellent games.
Well, we'll start with Saturday's functions, games, the Friday night games. Indiana knocked off Indiana State.
I watched the Colorado-Houston game.
Okay.
Colorado looks bad. I mean, give Dion credit. He's trying to make something work. Caden Salter, that experiment with the transfer, that kid's like this like his 3rd school or something, that hasn't really worked. They put in Ryan Staub, and he didn't look great, but he made some plays. At second quarter, he brought him down for a touchdown drive, scored a touchdown run on the football. He threw the ball well, ran it well, but the offensive line was garbage. But what stood out to me is defensively, Colorado has a number of guys on the team, linebackers and DBs, who just kind of don't want to really be there. It looks like tackles are there to be made for minimal gains, and they kind of with an arm out and a guy runs through the arm tackle. And just the effort isn't really there. But I thought the offense, at least inept as it was for the most part, they were trying. So I got to give them credit. And they're bad this year. I don't know. I mean, you never know with Dion. I think the experiment with him at Colorado has kind of failed. But you never know. They are getting good transfers. They're getting guys to come in. They're paying guys. Juju Lewis from right up the road here in Carrollton, 5-star QB, is sitting on the bench. Most likely he won't play this year unless they start losing the next couple of games in a row. But
we'll see.
Yeah, you never know how it goes, but it's not looking good right now for Colorado.
No, it's not. Let's go ahead and move to Saturday's games. Ohio State knocked off Ohio 37-9. A ho-hum effort from Ohio State.
Strange. They play Ohio. It's a night game.
Yeah.
But they play Texas and it's at noon.
Yeah.
Good buddy of mine, Jason, has season tickets to the Buckeyes. And he usually likes the noon games so he can do other shit during the day. But he did think this was a head-scratcher at night. And looked at this box score, because at this time of night I was watching 3 other games. Really 4 if you count some of the lesser-known games. But kind of the snooze fest. They went and scored 24 unanswered points in the second half to make it look a lot better than it was. But for a while there, like a couple of the other teams, they weren't really pulling away early like you expected.
Going through the motions.
Yep. And, that's to be expected.
That's right. Penn State knocked off Villanova 52-6.
Did what they're supposed to do against a team like Villanova.
Right. One of the games of the afternoon or evening, LSU knocked off Florida 20-10.
This was one of the 4 games I was watching in that 7:30 slot. And entertaining game. DJ Lagway looked really bad. But just like last week, Florida jumps out to an early lead, and then they call a 83-yard touchdown back, 87-yard, whatever it was, 83-yard touchdown back for a holding penalty. Same thing happened against USF last week when they lost. I think it was 3 touchdowns in the first half that all got called back due to penalties. They're very undisciplined, and DJ Lagway, at least yesterday, was turnover prone. And as much as I like Billy Napier, his brother coaches here in town, I like the guy. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good recruiter. I think he can do some things, but it's just not really working out for him like we thought it was. They really rallied around him in the team last year, overperformed, I felt, especially with that schedule and how not a very talented team they were last year. They're much better this year. Recruiting was awesome. They did great in the portal, but they just seem like they're an undisciplined football team, and that comes down to coaching.
Yep.
LSU's defense played great. Offense, decent in spurts, and then they just kind of shoot themselves in the foot. And Kelly had that post-game interview where he's like, well, we won the game. Why do you want to talk about the 3rd down efficiency? And he took this reporter to task, which was funny. But the reporter kind of had a point. I mean, you don't look good multiple weeks in a row, but you keep winning the games. Eventually, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. But give credit to LSU. Awesome home field, night game environment. Forced DJ Lagway to throw 5 picks. One of them was a pick 6, so that offense only scored 13 points.
Moving right along, Oregon knocked off Northwestern 34-14.
I didn't really watch any of this game. I saw that the game was Oregon versus Northwestern.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this don't really need to tune in. This isn't going to be much of a game. Yeah. And it really wasn't.
That's right. Miami knocked off South Florida, the 18th ranked South Florida team. 49-12. Miami pretty much dominated this game.
Yeah, I watched a little bit, and there was a delay, the weather delay. So I kind of the game got lost on my radar. But, Beck looked pretty good throwing the football, went through over 3 bills and a couple of TDs. Yeah. Had, I think, 2 or 3 picks, though. So, but I didn't see any of that. I just saw a couple touchdowns he threw. Yeah. But, they look good. Everybody, like South Florida was like the darling of the season so far. And they just, the big high of the win last week at Florida, they just kind of couldn't get it done, and they came crashing back down to earth. Miami pretty much took them out behind the woodshed and whooped that ass.
That's right. Georgia knocked off Tennessee 44-41 in overtime. One overtime. And great game. One of the
really good
games I've seen in a while.
Really good game. And another instant classic. Mm-hmm. Kind of seems like, Georgia's involved in a lot of those last 4 or 5 years. This was one of those games I mentioned when we first started talking about, games in each of the time slots that kind of went down to the wire. This was the 3:30 one. Yep. And, just like the last 4 years, maybe 5 years, Georgia's won, 9 in a row now? Mm-hmm. The last time Tennessee won was 2016, and they had to do a Hail Mary to get it done.
That's right.
So 9 in a row.
Yep.
And I want to say the last 5 of them, Tennessee's jumped out to a nice lead, and they can't hold it. Georgia comes back. The offense doesn't really struggle. Mm-hmm. They came back. I mean, they're scoring every possession, but Tennessee kind of was, at least this game. But in years past, Georgia's offense would, get going. They'd kind of score and keep pace, and eventually Georgia's defense would figure it out. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like in this game, it actually took till basically midway through the second quarter for Georgia's defense to figure it out. The offense was kind of going along pretty good the whole game. I forget what the score was at the end of the half.
It was 21-17, I believe.
Yeah, at the first possession of the second half, Georgia got the football and marched. It was like a Mongolian death march, like 13 plays. I think they ran 12 runs and 1 pass.
Go ahead.
But, Tennessee came fighting back, didn't look too good in the second half, but they had a couple. They kept throwing the ball up deep,
right.
One-on-one coverage, and Georgia's DBs were there.
Yeah.
They were there every time, but when it came time to look up, jump for the football, they kind of couldn't do it, and they just, Tennessee guy got it. I mean, it was those 50-50 balls that you got to figure on 3 of them, Georgia's going to come down with 1, or at least knock it away, and Tennessee got all 3. Mm-hmm. But the 4th down, gutsy play. Gunnar Stockton looked great this entire game. The Georgia's run game looked okay. There was only 1 possession that Georgia's offensive line looked inept. Yeah. And it was the right side of the line, and both of those starters who started the game were hurt, and they were finishing the game on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. But great game, both teams. Joey Aguilar looked the part, threw for 371.
It was 14 for 14 at one point.
14 for 14 in the first. 14 for 14, 15 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the first quarter alone. Mm-hmm. And then threw 2 touchdowns the rest of the game, but he was pretty much held in check through 2 picks in the second quarter alone. Didn't really look comfortable the rest of the game, even though he made some plays. A lot of those plays were on that second to last touchdown, or actually the last touchdown drive they had, but that second to last touchdown was like a 70-yard bomb. Yeah. The dude just came down with, so he wasn't picking them apart. It was some long chunk plays, but he looked good. Complete upgrade over Nico, who by the way is 0-2, 0-3, looks awful.
UCLA is looking bad.
Yeah, they fired the coach today. I feel bad for the kid, Nico. But his dad grossly overestimated his son's abilities and tried to strong-arm Tennessee's program. Tennessee was like, walk, we'll take somebody else. And it's not worked out for him. I think the kid's going to have a little bit of a bag, but he'll be working at Home Depot when his football career is over.
Probably so. Moving right along, Texas knocked off UTEP 26-10. Archie didn't look good.
He didn't look good at all. Threw some picks, overthrew guys, underthrew guys, threw behind guys, didn't look good at all. I don't know what's going on with him. He looks really bad against Ohio State. They looked really good last week, but they played like a nobody last week and didn't look good this week. They got a bye. Oh, no, they got one more game. They play somebody else, I think, next week. another cupcake,
Yeah.
I think, and then they go to Florida. So we'll see what happens. Florida at least has a pulse.
Moving right along. Texas A&M knocked off Notre Dame 41-40.
The night games, classic, instant classic, back and forth game. I mean, every time I looked, a different team had the lead. I was able to tune into this after the LSU game. I had this on upstairs, and I was kind of going back and forth, but maybe like late third to the mid fourth, I kind of focused on the LSU game and picked this one up. A&M took the lead. Notre Dame marched down the field, took the lead again. They muffed the extra point. Had to kick it off, kick return for touchdown, but holding penalty, and then A&M marches down the field. 4th and goal from the 12, throws it up to the tight end, makes the catch, kicked the extra point, game over. Excellent game. I thought A&M had more talent, but Notre Dame's team was more experienced, more disciplined. They had been there before.
Right.
I kind of felt if both teams being even, A&M probably would have had this a little more handily, but the athleticism from A&M just kind of eventually kept them in the game and then took over. So huge win for them. This is like their first road win over a ranked opponent in a long time. So good for them. Notre Dame is now 0-2 on the season.
Craziness. Illinois knocked off Western Michigan 38-0.
Big win for Illinois. Or as I like to call them now, the Flying Jerry Gertz. Huge game for them next week when they take on Indiana, so we'll be watching that at my place. Hopefully Jerry will make an appearance. But big win for Brett Beal and his team. They play Western Michigan, so I don't want to say big win, but they keep winning, and they keep doing it impressively, which is the mark of a really good team. They're not just kind of going through the motions like Michigan.
Take care.
So we'll see what they got. They start playing teams with a wall. They played Duke last week. I don't want to say playing teams with a pulse, but the schedule starts to get tougher next week for them.
Vanderbilt knocked off South Carolina 31-7.
So this is one of the games I started watching. It was 7-7, and Lenore Sellers went down with a concussion. But even then, they didn't look good. All right, Vandy took it to them. I mean, Vandy out-physicaled them. South Carolina is supposed to have this pretty decent, stout front seven. We know their offense with Lenore Sellers. They're missing Rocket Sanders. Their wideouts are garbage. They didn't go get any wideouts in the portal, and they thought they had decent guys. These guys aren't good, other than Neighbors. All right, but Vandy out-physicaled them, and every time they ran the football, I just felt that Vandy they're gonna bust off like a 12-yard run. That's pretty much what happened. They beat the hell out of South Carolina at home.
And it's kind of one of those things where, like South Carolina, you hear about the program in the season, you had a lot of hope and a lot of optimism, and then Vandy comes to town and just takes you to the woodshed.
Every year there's that one team that everyone has high hopes for because the year prior they showed you a lot and they brought all those guys, not all, but most of those guys back, and then they underperform badly. This year it's got to be South Carolina. I mean, they look like garbage. They don't have a decent running back after Rocket Sanders. And like I said, they didn't go out and get a wideout in the portal, and their wideouts don't look good. Defense isn't bad, but the offense keeps going 3 and out. And the defense is out there for an hour and a half.
You can't continue operating that way. How about Georgia Tech knocked off Clemson 24-21 in a classic?
Another instant classic, the noon kick time slots classic game. Basically, Georgia Tech was in control of this game the whole way. I know Clemson came back and got the game tied up late, and then Tech had to come back down. I thought Tech was in control of this game up until the end, and they had to kick a program,
Long.
Yeah, program long. That's the worst phrase that they use for it, and I keep saying it. But it's so the longest field goal in school history to win the game at 55 yards, and he had room to spare on it. So good for Georgia Tech. They look really good this year. Brett Key's got them going. I was having a conversation with an old coach friend of mine, and we were talking about, does Brett Key bail after this year and go to a better program? Because he's done it everywhere he's been. Last year, he turned Tech around. They're having a great season this year. You're going to lose Haynes King to eligibility. Does he get offered something a little bit better, a little more attractive in the ACC or maybe the Big Ten? I don't really think in the SEC there's too many teams on the hot seat. I don't think Florida would go for him. Maybe Kentucky. I don't really see anybody else in the SEC in the hot seat for him to stay down in the South. But maybe in the Big Ten or somewhere else in the ACC, things open up. Virginia Tech is now open. Would he go there? I don't see him going to the West Coast.
No.
Although I think he could win at UCLA, because they just fired their guys. I think he could win there.
Yeah.
But does Brent Key leave? I say no. Maybe another year or two.
When he played it at Tech, right?
He did, but I always go back to the
I don't see him going anywhere.
Iowa State's guy that had the opportunity, and then the next 2 years after that they weren't very good, so he kind of lost that hot name opportunity. But they're still winning games, as we'll talk about here in just a second.
That's right. Moving right along, Oklahoma knocked off Temple 42-3. Oklahoma's playing some pretty good football.
They're playing really good football.
Yeah.
Mateer's looking good.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking real good. As much as I hate to admit it, he's looking good.
That's right. Moving right along, Iowa State, you just mentioned, knocked off Arkansas State 24-16.
I didn't watch much of this game, though I was following it on the scores. I actually had Iowa State in this game picked, and I lost. But Rocco Beck looked good, threw for almost 300 yards. He looked pretty good in it. It just was a kind of a ho-hum game for them.
Mm-hmm. Moving right along, Ole Miss knocked off Arkansas 41-35.
Watch this game. Watch a lot of the second half of this game. Once again, QB issues for Ole Miss, injuries, performance. But man, Arkansas looked good. They're much, much better this year. Yeah. Every facet of them offensively is better. Defensively, they're still like a sieve, but at least they're playing with more effort.
Yeah.
The way they lost, they were going down for potentially a winning touchdown, and homeboy fumbled, caught a pass, tried to get a few extra yards fighting, which is you see a lot. He got the ball stripped at the 25-yard line. There was plenty of time left on the clock. I think there was about the 2-minute warning. They were trying to go in for the game-winning touchdown, and he fumbled. You hate to see that happen in a really good game like this, 41-35. I just feel... I don't want to say, Sam Pittman needed this win really, really bad. But the team is much improved. So maybe he's this year's Billy Napier. Don't have a good record, but you can see the improvement in the promise, and they keep him around.
I don't know. It's just...
But it is a great game.
It's just the way the SEC kind of grinds you out.
Yeah, this year the SEC is really good, really deep. The unranked teams are good. Lane Kiffin's kid is on the shoulders of the players of the fire extinguisher doing this. I love that stuff. But Ole Miss, they don't look as good as they did last year. They're letting up way too many points. But they're scoring a bunch. So maybe it's like the first 1 to 40 wins the game.
Yeah. So go figure, right? Alabama knocked off Wisconsin in dominant fashion, 38-14. I remember it was 28-0 for a minute there.
Yeah. They looked as dominant as they ever have. Great game for them. Ryan Williams back from the concussion, back involved in the offense. I think 2 touchdowns and over 100 on the day receiving. He looked really good. The other guy, I forgot his name. He's number 5, the wideout. He looked really good as well. He looked really good against Florida State, and they got the loss. Yeah. But they have a bye, and then they play Georgia in 2 weeks. So Georgia has an Alabama problem. Yeah. So I think even if Alabama played like they did against Florida State, I think Georgia would end up playing pretty bad. But got to give it to Alabama. It was basically, level 10 in terms of misery on the misery index of the fans, and now they've settled it down because Ty Simpson looked really freaking good.
So they get a bye week to work out whatever kinks they got left to work out, and then we'll have a big one in Athens come off.
And we will be there.
And we will be there. Utah knocked off Wyoming 31-6.
Utah is a good football team. We've mentioned it before. They're always a solid football team. They play physical. They play hard. They don't get a lot of attention because they're out there on the West Coast. But they're a good football team. I think them being ranked 20th is kind of a slap in the face to them. I think it should at least be like 15th or something. But, the meat of their schedule is coming up, and we'll see what they've got, in the tank for the rest of the season. But, Utah looks really good. They look like they're the team to beat out there.
Moving right along, Texas Tech knocked off Oregon State, 45-14. You watch any of this one?
No. Texas Tech, we've mentioned it before. They got all the dudes in the portal. They threw all this money at people. They got some recruits that they threw money at. We'll see what happens when they start playing some pretty good teams, which in that conference I don't really think there is any, but you never know. Money and the talent can only take them so far. Are they going to be a cohesive unit? Yet to be seen.
We'll see. Let's see. Michigan knocked off Central Michigan 63-3.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of this game at all. I spoke with Andy yesterday, right after this game ended. He said, they looked good. They looked like Michigan looks like when they play Central Michigan. That's basically what he said.
There you go. Auburn knocked off South Alabama 31-15.
Auburn was looking a little sluggish in this game. There was a few of these games throughout the country yesterday into last night that some of the favored teams looked a little sluggish. It was a little closer than you'd expect for a little bit long, and then they kind of turn it on late. This was one of those games. But Auburn looks pretty good. Yeah. You can see that Davenport led the game in passing, so you can kind of tell that Auburn just ran the football. Not much throwing there.
Yeah. Let's see. Missouri knocked off the Raging Cajuns 52-10.
Two running backs went for over 100 in this game. They look good. Yeah. Missouri looks really good. I think I don't see how I don't know how to pronounce the last name,
Parabalu
didn't get the nod in the preseason. Yeah. In summer camp. He went in because of the injury to the starter. But that guy's looking good. You can't take him out. Running game looks really good. Defense looks good. I mean, I don't know what their schedule looks like much the rest of the season. Same thing with Auburn. I don't know who Auburn has next either, but I think Missouri is going to end up being a sneaky good team this year.
I do too. It seems like they're a sneaky good team every year.
There's a lot of teams. I mean, the schedule lines up being like so strange. Like you got teams like LSU and Alabama, like Florida, Texas, Georgia. They all have like a pretty tough. Well, not Texas, but like the rest of those teams I mentioned have a pretty tough schedule. Missouri could easily backdoor their way into the SEC championship game at like 11-1 because their schedule lines up very favorably for them.
Yeah, and as this
where Florida could be like a top 20 team and have 6 losses because of their schedule.
That's right.
Well, North Carolina looked good. They got back into the win column. Beat Richmond 41-6. I know it's Richmond, but I mean it's good to see them get back in the win column. I like Belichick. All right, I'm from New England, from Massachusetts. Right down the road from Foxborough Stadium when Belichick was winning all those Super Bowls with the Patriots. I'm not really a Patriots fan, but I like Belichick as a coach. I like his process that he has. Is very he taught Nick Saban, right? So I like the process. I like the way he goes about it. I want to see him win there, so I'm happy they won. I don't know if Stanford won, though. And hopefully they lost, because I hate Stanford.
Well, if this thing would ever come off.
Indiana won, but next week, huge game. We got Illinois versus Indiana. I don't know where that game's at. See if this thing will load up here for us. But
it's taking a sweet time.
I know who does Florida have? So Florida, who the heck's Florida have? Florida's schedule is awful, like terrible for them.
Look at Texas Tech and Utah.
That'll be the game. That'll be the game. We don't know what Arizona State's going to do in the conference, but that should be an early game to see who's going to get the leg up in that conference right now. Is it the Big 12? Is that what they're calling this? I don't even know.
Yeah, they're Big 12. You got Syracuse and Clemson. Can Clemson right the ship? Can Syracuse get a big win against Clemson?
Anything's possible. Clemson does. Syracuse doesn't look very good at all this year. Yeah. But you never know because Clemson looks like garbage too. But I think Clemson's gonna have too many athletes for them.
Oh, look at this! Oregon State against Oregon at 3:00.
It'll be a game at least to check out due to the rivalry.
Oh, look at this! 3:30 game on ABC. Auburn and Oklahoma.
I didn't really know either one of their schedules off the top of my head, but I knew Auburn's next game was gonna be tough. Yeah. They're at Oklahoma. This will be the big game, 3:30. I'll be watching this game for sure. This will be on the big TV downstairs. Mm-hmm. I expect Oklahoma to take care of business in this game, but it'll be the game that we kind of see what – we already know what Oklahoma has. I want to see what Auburn has because I don't think Baylor's all that good.
Yeah. You got Michigan, Nebraska at 3:30.
That'll be a good game. Kind of like I said, Michigan, Oklahoma. We know what Michigan has. We'll see finally what Nebraska has. Can Dylan Raiola lead them to a win over a big team, big ranked team? It's at home.
3:30. Can they get it done? Notre Dame's going to try to right the ship against Purdue.
And they should.
And they should. North Carolina's got UCF. Let's see what else we got here. You got Mississippi State, Northern Illinois, Temple, and Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech is going to be that team all season long that they're just going to slowly just climb up the ladder because they don't play anybody the rest of the season.
And as long as Haynes King doesn't get hurt, because they do run him a lot. And it seems like every time that dude gets tackled, he's a little slow to get up. And look what he did to Georgia last year, but he was hurt going into that game.
You got West Virginia, Kansas at 6.
South Carolina at Missouri. I expect Missouri to do exactly what Vanderbilt did to South Carolina, just out-physical them. It's at home in Como.
You got Miami against Florida.
I knew Florida had somebody that they didn't want to play next week.
And that's where game day is going to be.
Yep, 7:30. Oh, that 7:30 time slot's a killer. You got Florida at Miami, 7:30. You got number 9, the fighting, flying Jerry Gertz, the fighting Illini, Brett Bielema, going to Indiana, number 19, Indiana, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Indiana is up there, right up there, on the same playing field, on the same level as Stanford. I want these Cats to lose every single game as long as that coach is there.
There you go.
So I'm going with Brett Bielema, the fighting Illini, the flying Jerry Gertz.
There you go.
I want them to absolutely mop the floor with Indiana. I want this to be like a 33-6 bloodbath. I'll be watching.
There you go. We got Washington at Washington State at 7:30.
7:30. It's good rivalry games.
That's right. What else we got here? Sam Houston's at Texas. Good luck. Let's see what else.
Colorado, Wyoming at Colorado, the 10:15. I might watch the first quarter. In my old age, I'm having trouble staying up to 1:30 in the morning watching the 10:30, 11 o'clock kickoff like I used to. But this Michigan State USC game should be pretty good. Michigan State's looking a little bit better this year, a little more of a pulse. USC, I haven't really watched much of them, but I know they won yesterday.
They should be getting better. They've
got talented players. Look at Zach Branch is doing for Georgia. His brother isn't even playing. Yeah. He can't even get in the game.
Yep.
But USC, I think this is a kind of like all right, just be competitive year. With the recruit class they got coming in, they spent a lot of money on a lot of guys that are committed to them right now. They're giving them the money up front to commit, and we'll pay you as long as you don't decommit. So they're being able to keep these guys. USC's got massively deep pockets. When they were good with Lionheart and Reggie Bush, celebrities were handing them money. Yeah. They're out there in LA. They've got the celebrities. They've got the rappers out there. They should be winning more than they are. I foresee them getting back to prominence at some point, but I don't feel confident in Lincoln Riley being the coach to do that for them. They're in the Big Ten now. It's a much more difficult conference. They're going to have to contend with Penn State, Oregon, Michigan, and Ohio State pretty much every year. And then, these teams like Michigan State aren't going to be pushovers.
That's right. So we'll see. We'll see how next week goes.
Yeah, I probably won't watch much of this game because of the time. But thankfully, now that they are in the Big Ten, some of their games will start being in the afternoons. Yeah. Don't fall asleep.
We'll see what happens.
So, big week 4 ahead of us. There's some really, really good games. I think that 7:30 slot's going to be the winner.
That's right.
Next week.
Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll do this again next week.
See ya.